Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rex, and this is the chicken conspiracy robbing Americans of the Toyota Hilux. Okay, sure. This was on the Fat Files, the alternative channel of the Fat version, apparently. What does chicken conspiracy and Toyota Hilux has anything to do with it? Okay, first of all, I didn't know Toyota Hilux was that big of a deal in America. It is a big deal in the overall world. But in USA, it's like the trucks is what you do, right? F-150s, Silverados. I didn't know Toyota Hilux was that big of it. I don't know. It makes sense, I guess. Right? A few decades ago, there was a thing where Japanese thing became like in bikes and cars as well. Like there were Hondas and all the Toyotas things. Just Mitsubishis started to sell a lot. So I don't know. Toyota Hilux might have a strong market there. Who knows? Toyota Hilux, basically, only thing I know about is like the older version of it, at least like 20 years ago, was indestructible. Right? Top Gear did that thing. Put on top of the building, it collapsed, somehow still ran. They set it to fire and everything, somehow it still ran. Yeah, since then it's just like, yeah, even in here in India, like one of the biggest, most famous full-size SUVs is Toyota Fortuner, which is just Hilux but an SUV rather than pickup truck. So yeah, that's what it's on. Remember, if you like my next, don't forget to subscribe. So I know which type of videos to react to more. I like electrician and his stories basically. Usually it's about military stuff. I'm gonna say the secondary one is not about that. It's just anything, still America related. So it's always fun to hear about these stories because these are not the stories you pick up from news or something. Because sometimes it's like in second or third of it for whatever reason, right? So you miss it and then you realize, oh wait a minute, this happened. So that's always fun.
Just once in my life, I would like to go to the internet with a question and have my question answered without falling into an enormous rabbit hole of government conspiracies and nonsense. Okay, long story short, Toyota's got this new truck.
That's because internet and internet providers have your information still, and they know what you like. They'll always, oh, it's electrician. That who's Googling? Let's send him into like rabbit hole.
Coming out, it's just a flatbed, plain Jane work truck, nothing fancy about it, and it was
This
supposed
is
to be like
Hilux.
$10,000 or $11,000 brand new. So naturally, I wanted one. So naturally, I go to the internet with a simple question: am I going to be able to buy this new Toyota truck in America? To which I am met with the answer: probably not. Most likely for the same reason you can't buy a Toyota Hilux, which is the other thing that's been pissing me off for 10 years inside of America. And naturally, in the back of my head, I just kind of assumed like, oh, Toyota just doesn't want to sell that truck in America for some reason. Maybe the money's not right. It costs too much to import, whatever. And yeah, it does cost too much to import, but it's because of chickens and Lyndon B. Johnson. That's why.
What's that? Nick's so mad he forgot to send me a segue for the ad? Well, that means we gotta do it, right? Yeah. I don't know what that was. Play the ad. Me?
This video is sponsored by Aura, where you can get everything you need to be safe and productive online in one convenient location. When you sign up for Aura, you're going to get a password manager that's going to help you have a strong and unique password for every online account that you have. In addition to that, you're also going to get antivirus software as well as a VPN. But Aura doesn't just keep your computer safe, they also keep your identity and your money safe as well. Aura will go to all the big data brokers on the internet, find out which ones are selling your personal information, and then submit opt-out requests to have that information taken down. They also offer credit monitoring and home title monitoring, and in the unfortunate situation that somehow that isn't enough and your identity still gets stolen, they offer up to $1 million in insurance and a team that is available 24/7 to help you resolve the issue. So go ahead and use my link down below. You're going to get a 14-day free trial with Aura. Let's get back to the video. And I can hear the comment section already. Buh, if you want a Hilux, just get a Tacoma. They're basically the same thing. Buh. No, they are not, for multiple reasons. For one, I've driven a Tacoma, and it is literally the slowest moving vehicle I have ever driven in my entire life. That thing accelerates from 0 to 60 in like 3 to 5 business days, okay? Fucking Fred Flintstone would beat that thing in a drag race. Secondly, I don't vividly remember being 14 years old watching Top Gear with my dad and seeing those guys drop a fucking Tacoma into the ocean for 8 hours, fishing it out, and then getting it started in like 15 minutes. And then because that wasn't enough to kill it, they decided they were going to hit it with a wrecking ball, drive it through a building, light it on fire, and then stick it on top of a skyscraper before blowing the entire building up with it. And then the motherfucker still started, okay? Tacomas are not on the same level as Hiluxes. I don't care what you say, you will never convince me otherwise. It is the equivalent of my mom trying to convince me that store brand toaster pastries are Pop-Tarts. No, they're not. Pop-Tarts are Pop-Tarts, and Pop-Tarts are fucking fucking awesome. And you want to know why I can't get my metaphorical
See, that all that is not just like some bullshit. That's real. Everything because I still know like 22-year-old Fortuners, basically Hilux. They're called Hilux SW4 in other countries, I guess. Basically, Hilux that are SUVs are still running on the road, right? And I ask those people like, okay, did you do it? Oh no, we just do oil change for 22 years. The meter is reading some like 200,000+ kilometers, 300,000+ kilometers. Like, what the fuck? Those things are insane, and those are off-roaders. And I can see some dents and things, which means those people didn't just ride in on highways, went off-roading and everything still works. Toyota Hiluxes are insane.
Pop-Tart, why I can't own and drive my own Toyota Hilux. It's because America was too good at selling chickens in the 1950s and 60s. Yeah, that's why. Okay, so here's the deal. Generally speaking, throughout the majority of human history, chickens have always been...
I'm thinking probably Ford and Chevrolet probably has some kind of a monopoly. That's what it's going to, like President said, like, okay, like how they did with Harley Davidson, right? They give special things to Harley Davidson, erase taxes with anything from outside of the country, right? That's what they did. Something similar to that, I don't know.
Like super expensive and seen as only something that rich people got to eat until very recently, which... Think about it for a second, it starts to make a little bit more sense. You have like cows and goats and llamas and whatever other fucking farm animals you have, and they just basically wander around and they eat the grass, okay? That's not very expensive. Then you have pigs, you could literally just feed them garbage and they'll turn it into bacon somehow through evolutionary magic. Chickens, on the other hand, you have to like feed them grain and like actually give them real food that a human could technically eat. So, historically speaking, they've always been one of the more expensive farm animals, so only rich people got to eat them. Then in the 1950s, after World War II, thanks to refrigeration and a couple of other innovations, America got super good at raising chickens. They got so good, in fact, that we could raise chickens, slaughter them in America, ship them across a fucking ocean while refrigerating them, and sell them in Europe, and it was still cheaper than people could grow and raise chickens in Europe, so Europe was eating a bunch of American chicken.
So they had too much cock?
I guess that's one way to put it. Why?
Just never thought I'd hear that come out of my mouth. Just never thought I'd hear that come out of my mouth.
Anyways, this
I'm like, wait a minute, this joke cannot go into positive way. Where is she going? Oh, that's where she's going.
goes on for a number of years, and the European countries, primarily Germany was spearheading this entire thing. They get together and they're like, hey, let's put a 25% tariff on American chicken coming into the European market. That way, European chicken is more competitive. And if that wasn't enough, they started a major propaganda campaign basically saying that America fills their chickens full of antibiotics and growth hormones, so it's really unhealthy for people to eat, which... I mean, honestly, that's probably a fair assessment. But regardless, America's now pissed off. So this is 1962 when the...
Yeah, all that is basically like, sure, you can have tinfoil hat and bitch about it, right? But same thing with the GMO things. GMO is not really bad for you, right? I mean, sure, it's like, nowadays everything has like no GMOs. Like, people hate GMO so much, it's like, technically health-wise not really bad for you in that way, right? So basically same thing, like somebody found some trace amount of something, right? I don't know what the chemical was, but they were like big thing, right? Like, this is in this one, don't eat it. And a scientist really thought about it like, okay, you could die from drinking more water than you die from drinking that. Like, how much you have to eat it to actually have any effect on you? And there was nothing. But people like, oh, see, you found trace amount of that. You found trace amount of this thing, some fertilizer, some this, some medicine, some antibiotics. It's like, do you want to catch disease from 8 years before? No, then yeah, you have to like, do some shit like this, or don't eat chicken, fuck you. Like, I don't know what else to say. But yeah, people always find the tinfoil hat things like, oh, this is this, don't eat it. And you find that like spreading through internet, and people actually avoid it, like, okay.
This European tariff on American chicken passes, and for the next 18 months, it is the pinnacle of American politics, trying to get Europe to buy more American chickens, and it becomes known as the Chicken War, right in the middle of the Cold War. I'm not even exaggerating, there were literally American politicians that cared more about getting Europeans to eat more chicken than they did about the pending nuclear war with the Soviet Union.
Money.
The Chancellor of Germany, Konrad Adenauer, said that he had more conversations with JFK about Germans eating American chicken than he did about the pending nuclear war. There was a senator from Arkansas that was sitting in a NATO meeting when he stood up, interrupted the entire NATO meeting, and declared that America was going to withdraw from NATO and Europe could defend itself if they didn't lift the sanctions on American chicken. Obviously, that didn't actually happen. Despite that, the tariff ended up staying up, and after 18 months of trying to diplomatically solve this issue, then President Lyndon B. Johnson is like, fuck it, I'm just going to put a tariff on you guys too, and he put a 25% tariff on potato starch, dextrin, brandy, and light cargo vehicles. Now, obviously, chicken is a food product product, which they are tariffing. So America is going to tariff dextrin, potato starch, and brandy, which are also food products. That part makes sense. But why on earth is America going to start taxing light cargo vehicles? Well, you see, that's where the good old-fashioned political
I mean, Europe, first of all, what is light in American sense? I'm guessing anything Europe can give is probably light cargo. Oh, look at that. You know, a lot of Ford things, right? Ford car, it's a hatchback. Pretty sure that's not American, even though it's an American company. So Ford makes a lot of European things in Europe, right? This Ford Ranger, which is called Ford Everest as an SUV, which is called Ford Endeavour in India, because you can't call that Everest because there's a masala name Everest. It's all bullshit. But basically, that's also from Europe rather than America, because America has F-150. Even the Ranger is smaller. That's what it is. So basically, a lot of things, a lot of cargo vehicles come from there. It's probably going to label light cargo vehicles. So if you like, you know, there you go, tariff them. Americans are not going to buy it because it's like costlier than what you can buy locally. So there you go. If you're not going to buy chicken, we're not going to buy your thing.
Political corruption comes in because it's 1964, it's an election year, and the UAE is about to go on strike, the United Automotive Workers Union, and them going on strike during an election year is going to be disastrous for Lyndon B. Johnson's chances of getting reelected. So LBJ and the president of the UAE come to a little quid pro quo agreement. In exchange for the UAE not going on strike during LBJ's election, LBJ is going to abuse his political power to make sure that somehow, some way, so many Volkswagen Type 2s, which are incredibly popular in America right now, quit getting imported, aka the Love Bus. You know, you've seen those. This is where they went. They went away because of this. So this is why light cargo vehicles gets added to the chicken tax, adding a 25% tariff to basically make it so that Germany can't import the Type 2. Now, light cargo vehicle at this point in time is defined as 2 seats or less and designed to transport cargo. So then because of that, all the foreign auto car makers like Toyota and Honda and all the other ones that make small trucks.
But Hilux is like your F-150, but light cargo vehicle, get the fuck out of here.
Not wanting to pay a 25% tax to import their trucks, start importing the truck itself, like the chassis and the cab and the motor, all completely built in their country, and then they ship over the bed separately, and then they have a warehouse where they like throw a couple of bolts on and attach the bed, so that way it's assembled in America, and they're only going to get taxed 4% instead of 25% because the US government is this fucking stupid. So then in the 1980s...
Wait a minute, that can't work. If you do that, and then actually, first of all, either it will be illegal to run on the road because it's not how it was like taxed and how final product was, if you modify it like that, right? If you suddenly make it in this kind of a cargo vehicle, wait a minute, that wasn't the thing you basically did, right? I'm pretty sure there are laws about vehicles, like you can't completely change it like that. I guess if you do it, like you have to register again or something. I don't know.
US government closes that loophole, to which all the other auto car makers are like, fine, we'll just exploit another loophole. We'll just start adding more seats, so that way there's more than 2 seats, so it's not a cargo
Make
vehicle,
it 4
it's
seat.
just a normal vehicle. And this is why every small to mid-sized truck, 1980s through like the early 2000s, had those tiny little seats in the back that no human could ever actually fit on. It's because they were never actually designed for people to sit on. They were just there so that they could legally say, oh, it's designed to sit more than 2 people, therefore I get taxed at 4% instead of 25%, again, because the government is dumb. Which, fun fact, this is also why the Subaru Brat had those stupid plastic seats in the back. And then they came out with the CAFE standards, which is basically like trying to, you know, save the environment with emissions and stuff. And the rule was the vehicle has to be like proportional compared to how much emission that it emits, I guess. So like if a truck is really big, it can emit a bunch of CO2 into the atmosphere. But if a truck is really small, it's not allowed to emit a bunch of CO2 into the atmosphere.
Wait a minute, is that why all these Silverados and F-150s are humongous? I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to buy a F-150 here, but then I actually saw the fucking size. I'm like, no way in hell I can ride it here. Like, it will be limited a lot where I can go. I mean, I knew they were big, but I didn't know how big they were. Like, damn, I'm guessing this is the reason. Like, oh, wait a minute, we have like a fucking V8 and things like that. How are we gonna do the emission? Make it big? I don't know. There you go.
Atmosphere. And this is actually why all the trucks in America are fucking ginormous lately in like the last 20 years. Okay, I know that's like a super popular thing to bitch about. Like you hear a bunch of hippies and college kids bitching about how American trucks are too big and it's more dangerous and they're taking up space on the road and they're beating up the infrastructure. Yeah, it's because of stupid fucking emissions policies, because it's easier for automakers to just make the truck physically fucking larger than it is to make the
What? That's F-150. Look at that. This is insane, man. I remember that Clarkson and Hammond was in Hill. Clarkson and May basically went to Canada, right, to do that. They had this Clarkson had F-150. I still remember like May and Clarkson basically both are like 6'3", 6'4", right? And the car's hood was like all the way to chest. So how big it is, man? Damn, that's insanity. Like this would be actually scary, right? If you go into closely packed places where people could just walk around, kids could walk around, I would be genuinely scared. I have to put cameras on top, in front of the vehicle, because I can't see who's like walking in front of me. Literally can't see it.
Emissions somehow magically lower. So that's why that's happening. So not only is the CAFE standards not helping with emissions and CO2, it's actually incentivizing automakers to make trucks unnecessarily ridiculously large just so they can comply with this law. And I know what you're thinking, well, at least the chicken tax is helping American automakers compete in the market so that they can make more money and stay in business. And that's just not the case anymore either, because even they're getting fucked over by this law. Because when Ford tries to import transit vehicles, which they have made over in Turkey, they have to intentionally put extra seats and windows and shit inside of it, import it, and then send them to a factory and have all the seats and windows taken out and convert it back into a fucking cargo vehicle. This is why.
Yeah, Ford does that a lot. I didn't know long before that, but after some time, obviously from Top Gear, I realized that like a lot of Ford vehicles, which is not like F-150, it's like massive vehicles, and Ford SUVs, basically, I don't know, a gigantic SUV that you have USA, right? Anything else is basically made in Europe or Africa. Right, like I said, Ford Ranger is like made from multiple places, made in Africa or something. I don't know. Certain vehicles like Ford Ka thing is, I think, from England or something. Like he said, like a transit vehicle, which is like a van, which is one of the most famous van on the planet, basically. Right, transit is made from Turkey. So basically, even they would be like, oh my god, Ford, like I'm American, like I don't care where they're coming from. It's from Turkey. There you go.
Why all the transit vans and shit that are super popular are really fucking expensive. And this is why my work that I work at to be an electrician can't ever find a goddamn transit van to use as a work truck, because A, they're getting way more expensive because we're having to import them with extra seats so they're not cargo vehicles, because somehow that saves money. And then my boss is desperately trying to compete with all the fucking millennials that want to go live in a van and start an Instagram so they can have hashtag van life in every fucking picture they post. This policy is literally helping
That's
nobody.
a new
Nobody
thing,
on
right?
the planet is benefiting right now, except for maybe the government so that they can get more tax money over fucking nothing, okay? Potatoes, dextrin, all that other shit, all that shit's gone. They're not tariffing that anymore. That tax went away. It's just on cargo vehicles now, and it's for no reason. And you're like, oh, this fucking fat electrician guy is just misrepresenting the entire situation because he's angry that he can't own a Toyota truck that he wants. No, that's not it. In 2003, the Cato Institute researched the entire thing. This is 21 years ago, by the way. They did all the research and they came to the conclusion, and I quote, "The chicken tax is a policy that is in search of a rationale. There's no fucking reason for this law to exist other than to
Man, there's many things. This is the reason people constantly cry about like U.S. Congress is doing fucking nothing, because way too many rational things like that still there, right? I bet, you know, like when they were like putting this kind of like makeshift seats in the back with those kind of like trucks and things. I bet the Congress and I guess they probably even talked to the president, and even he said like, come on man, I can't, like laws pass, what you want me to do? Like put some makeshift seat in the back, call it 4-seater. Even they might be giving loopholes, because moving shit in US Congress and everywhere is like too much of a hassle apparently.
fuck people over. I have literally spent the last 3 days of my life successfully wrapping my entire brain around this issue and come to the conclusion it's so fucking stupid that it's driving me insane. This is literally the epitome of government intervention. What's the problem? Oh, Germany's not eating enough American chicken. Don't worry, the government's gonna step in and help. Fast forward 70 years. Guess what? Germany's still not eating enough American chicken, but you're not allowed to own a Toyota Hilux either. Oh, good. I'm literally getting cock-blocked from owning my dream car. Thank you. I'm be honest, I don't even understand how I got here. Like, I woke up one morning, there was like, oh, hey, Toyota's coming.
Look, man, technically the newer F-150s are kind of like closer to Hiluxes in just make, build and everything. So the gap isn't at what it was a long time ago, right? I mean, decent F-150s. I mean, I get it, like that. Not all F-150s are same. Maybe that gap is still there. That won't apply to Toyotas. Like line up 10 Toyotas, probably 9 or even all 10 of them will be similar. Maybe we can't say that about other brands. I'm pretty sure like modern day now F-150s and Silverados are like kind of closer to that, right? If you abuse them the same way you abuse Hilux, they will still work the same way. So it's just like back then it would have worked. Now it's like doesn't matter that much.
out with a new truck that's going to be super cheap and cool. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if I'm going to be allowed to buy it. And next thing I know, I'm fucking the internet's crazy uncle on Thanksgiving somehow. I need a beer. Okay, this is too much. I gotta go. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out. I am going to figure out a way to get a Toyota Hilux at this point. It's gonna happen.
Pay tax, I guess. I don't know. If you want it that bad, I don't know. Pay more tax. I don't know. Yeah, that's how shit work here, apparently. Everything from outside of India is like taxed ridiculously, nearly twice. This is insane. Ford Mustangs might cost you like equivalent to, I don't know, like 35 lakhs in here. While in India, I have to pay like 90 lakhs. It's like more than twice. It's like, okay. Okay, seriously, man. This is like, I understand this like whole governments basically don't get in my shit type of thing America has. But it's like two sides to that, right? You made so many government divisions so things become more safer, better everywhere. Those divisions are the reason things can't move faster. And so if you want to pass anything, it will never pass. So because you made things so complicated, because you wanted things to be better, because you were rich, right? You had money, you're like, America's going to be best. Why not, right? Why not have everything? Think of something, we'll put some kind of division for that, right? There are so many divisions, so many arms of everything. Passing through all that becomes nightmare. So nothing gets passed now. Even something stupid like that, somebody will think, wait a minute, why do we have that? Okay, let's just cancel it. Oh yeah, we'll take few years now to pass and like regulate everything. Otherwise, it's not going to be passed. And even there's going to be some quid pro quo between two divisions that is like Democrat and Republicans. They will have friction now. That's a new thing. If you start a bill with something, that bill will have something else attached to it that has nothing to do with the original thing, because there you go. It's like mob mentality. Oh yeah, you want that, you have to give me that. So it's a many element. It's like, okay, it's never going to get passed. There you go. All right, well, that was the chicken conspiracy robbing Americans of the Toyota Hilux. Watch on the Fat Files. If you like my next one, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.